session we started with second data structure, that is tuple, right? Tuple, same like list, both are ordered collection of item. Only the difference is list is mutable, that is changeable, whereas tuple is immutable, you cannot modify. Then yesterday I told you how to create a tuple, then how to access elements from the tuple. So accessing elements from the tuple is exactly same like accessing elements from list by using tuple object square bracket index, right? And then if you want part of the tuple, so we use that slice operator, start colon end. You want some elements at a fixed interval, to start colon end colon step. So all that combinations yesterday I told you. Next, now if you want to traverse a tuple, like each and every element you want to retrieve from the tuple, then you can use standard for loop, because Python for loop is applicable for iterable object and tuple is also an iterable object. Clear? Same like list. Okay. You can create a tuple right? So t equal to 10, 20, 30, I have just listed it in a round bracket. Tuple is created. Then a normal for loop for x is a temporary variable. In t, a tuple object which is a iterable object, print an x. I'm just printing. If you want to do some other operation, you can do. Okay. See, it is displaying all the elements of that tuple. Actually here also one magic method is called, we have used a iterable object, but internally there for every iteration one magic method is called. Actually it is called as double underscore next double underscore, which keeps returning the next element from your iterable. Like first time it will return 10, then 20, 30. So we don't know. Actually here one magic method called as double underscore next double underscore is called. So we don't use it, no need, because you know it implicitly that magic method will keep returning you the next element from the tuple in x, and then you can use that. Okay. See. So you can loop through the tuple items by using a for loop, standard for loop. Okay. Why? Because for loop is applicable for iterable and tuple is also an iterable. Example I have shown, colors equal to, this is a tuple of color. Then we are writing a for loop for x in colors. So it will keep retrieving for each iteration next element from your tuple. So first time red will come, next time blue, next time green, and that you are just printing it. Okay. See, so it will display all the elements of your tuple. Next is check if any item is present in your tuple. Same like list, you can use in operator. Exactly same. Okay. You can check whether an element is present in tuple or no. So this will be your tuple object and element, and use in operator. So element if present in this tuple object, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Okay. So print 20 in t if I write. So now is 20 present in t? Yes. Therefore it will return true. If I write 25 in t, 25 in t. So if t is 25 is present, it will return true. If it's absent, it will return false. Okay. So that simple it is. Use in operator. In operator is actually applicable for all iterable. So in the previous data structure, that is list, that time also we have discussed this. Same it is applicable for tuple also. So to determine if a specified item is present in a tuple, use in keyword. Actually in is a membership operator. Chapter 1 we have discussed. In is called as a membership operator. Okay, example, this is our colors tuple and I'm checking blue is present in colors. So yes, blue is present in colors, therefore it returns true. if you are checking pink in colors, so pink is not present, therefore it returns false. Okay, hope till here it is clear to you. Then finding out how many items are there in the tuple. So there is a built-in function len, which we have used for list also. In case of list also I took the same thing. So len is a built-in function, it's not a method, it's a built-in function, and it will return you the number of elements present in your tuple. Just have to pass a tuple object to this length function. Now in this case, this tuple is containing 4 elements, therefore it will return 4. Okay. So to determine how many items a tuple has, use len built-in function. Example I'm taking, this is a tuple of colors and I'm writing len colors. So now in this colors tuple there are 3 elements, therefore count 3 will be displayed. Okay. Now coming to next thing, that is adding items in the tuple. So like list, in case of list there were 3 ways. One, using append method, which was adding element at the end. There was insert method, which was inserting element at the given position. Okay, and there was extend also, extend, which was adding the element of one list in another list. But all that 3 methods are not applicable, they are not applicable for list, for tuple. Why? Because that all 3 methods are not going to work, because tuple is immutable, tuple is unchangeable, you cannot change it. Getting? So as it is immutable, you cannot add, you cannot insert, or you cannot add one tuple inside another. So it is going to give an error. But then there is again a backdoor method or a hack method where you can, for time being, convert your tuple to a list, then do any of that operations like append, insert or extend, and then again convert the list back to tuple. Okay, right? See, now t equal to 10, 20, 30. This is your tuple, and if I'm trying to add some value in it, tuple dot append, so it will give an error only. It will say that append method is not there only, means it will give you an attribute error. Attribute error is also one type of exception. So here it will directly throw attribute error, telling that append method is not there only in class tuple. Right? Tuple object it doesn't support. See, attribute error. Tuple object has no attribute append. Means there is no such method only in tuple class. Okay. So what to do? So as I said, for time being you can convert that tuple to list, which is legal. Python will internally convert that tuple to list. You'll get a new list object. Okay. Then in that you can append any value. Now it will work because now it is a list. So append you do, or you can do insert. Okay, insert at 1th place 15 suppose. Okay, or you can extend also some another list. If we have one list called list or tuple, whatever. So elements of this list are added in this tuple 5, 6, 7. Okay, and now you can convert that list back to tuple t. And now if you check your t, so in that 40 is first appended, then at 1th place 15 got inserted, then these all elements of this tuple got extended in t. So 5, 6, 7 got added at the end of your list. And if you check the type, it is back tuple only. Okay, but this is what I said, like a backdoor technique, means directly in the tuple there was no such provision. So for time being you converted to list, you did all the changes okay, and then coming back to what, okay, again coming back to the original type, right? Okay, see, so once a tuple is created, you cannot add items into it because tuple is unchangeable. You cannot modify tuple. See, colors, this is your tuple, and if you're trying to replace green with orange, then also it's going to generate an error. It will say like tuple object doesn't support item assignment. The same thing you can do it by list, but the same operation on the tuple generates an error. Okay, now same is the issue with remove also. Okay, now in case of list, we have seen different ways of remove, like we saw pop, right? Then we saw pop method we saw, then we saw remove method, then we used del, then we used clear to make the list empty. All that things are not applicable for tuple because the same reason, tuple is not changeable. Okay, so in case of list, we did it using pop method, by default the last item, or to pop, if you give the index, so it will delete the element from the given index. Remove, give the element which you want to remove, or by del statement also. All that facilities tuple doesn't have, means you cannot apply all that facilities on tuple. Okay, see, tuples are unchangeable, so we cannot remove item from it. Okay, maximum you can just destroy the whole tuple by using del. Okay, you have a tuple and you're trying to pop any value, okay, or t dot remove, and you're trying to remove this 20, won't work. Clear? It will generate an error. Okay, but maximum you can destroy whole tuple. Like if I'm writing print t, so it will display the current t. Now del t, if I write del t, so it will delete whole tuple, and print t. When we say print t, now it will give an error. Now it will give name error. Name error means there is no object only with the name t. See, name error, name t is not defined. Right? I hope you got it. Now, why it is giving name t is not defined? Because you have deleted. When you delete the object, its entry from the symbol table is gone. Now there is no reference with the name t. Okay? See. Now colors was one tuple. I wrote del colors, and then I'm trying to print colors. It gives a name error indicating name colors is not defined. Okay? Then joining two tuples. This is exactly same like list. Like if you want to concatenate two tuples one after another. Okay? Like after one tuple, I want another tuple. Getting? So you can just directly use plus operator. It will create a new tuple in which elements of first tuple will be there, followed by second tuple. Okay? I hope you are hearing me carefully. So T1 is the first tuple and T2 is the second tuple. You can directly write T3 equal to T1 plus T2. T3 equal to T1 plus T2. Again here also implicitly one magic method is called double underscore add double underscore. Okay, and through that magic method actually this concatenation happen. We feel as if plus is doing. Plus is just overloaded. In place of that plus, there one magic method is called. See, T3, in which all the elements of T1 are there, followed by T2. I said like in reality here T1 gives call to this magic method double underscore add double underscore. When we say magic method, it has to be a dunder method. According to Python, it has to be a dunder method, and all dunder methods start and end with double underscore. Okay, and to that what is passed as a parameter? the second object. So T1 is the invoker of this dunder method and T2 is the parameter. Inside it will create a new tuple containing T1 followed by T2 and it will return a new object that we collect in T3. Here also same thing, if you check T3, it will display all the elements of T1 followed by T2. Getting clear? I hope it is clear to you. So to join two or more tuples, you can use directly plus operator. Plus is being overloaded. Okay? See, example, quickly I'll tell you. T1, ABC, T2, 1, 2, 3, T3 equal to T1 plus T2. Please remember here plus is just overloaded. Actually, internally T1 invokes one magic method and T2 is a parameter to that magic method. And then that magic method returns a new tuple containing elements of invoker and the elements of parameter. T1 is the invoker and T2 is the parameter. So it will create a new tuple, returns that new tuple, its reference we collect in T3 and we are displaying. Getting? I hope you are clear. Now tuple methods which we invoke by dot. So see, till now we haven't seen any methods of tuple because tuple is very restricted. It is unchangeable. So as it is unchangeable, no methods of insert and no method of deleting, all gone. Means clear method not applicable, remove method not applicable, pop not applicable, insert not applicable, append, extend, all these methods don't work for tuple, okay, because it is unchanged. So only two methods are there in class tuple that we'll be discussing. Only two methods it supports. One is count. This is a method. Count we have discussed in list also. So it will just return you the number of occurrences of X in the invoker tuple or this tuple. This tuple means tuple which is going to invoke it. So it will check how many times X occurs in the invoker tuple and returns the count of it. Okay. T equal to 1, 5, 3, 5, again 5, 3, 6, 1, 6, 5 is there, 3 is there. And print T dot count and I'm writing 5. So it will return you the occurrences of 5. Okay. If I give 3, so it will return you the occurrences of 3. How many times 3 is present. And if I give 1, I'm giving something else, 10. So it's absent, so it will return 0. Okay? So count method, I hope you got it. So returns the number of times X occur in this tuple. This tuple means the tuple which is going to invoke it. Example, this is my one tuple, T dot count 10. 10 is present 2 times. And if I write T dot count something else which is absent, so it will return 0. And there is second method which is applicable for tuple called index. Now index was applicable for list also, isn't it? In case of list also index was present. It will just search the first occurrence of X in this tuple. It will search first occurrence of X in this tuple. This tuple means the tuple which is going to invoke it. And wherever that X is found, its first occurrence, it will return its position. Okay. And if it is not found, it will throw an error, value error. Value error indicating X is not present in the tuple. Okay. And if you want to start doing searching from some fixed position, then you can give this start position also. Okay. So you can give the position as well. If I write start, so it will start searching from that position. By default, it starts searching from 0. Okay. So default the search start from 0. If you give start position, then the search will start from that position. This tuple only I will take. print t dot t dot c, and you can check also when I say t dot, can you see there are only two methods applicable for tuple. And the same thing if you check for a list. Suppose I am creating a list and I write L dot, and it will pop a list. See, so many methods are there. Nearly all we have discussed: append, clear, copy, count, extend. I guess nearly all, sort, reverse, pop, all these methods we have discussed yesterday for list. Can you see the difference? When I say t dot, it only displays two methods. One is index and one is count. So that is what I wanted to tell you. Okay, it doesn't support all those methods because it is immutable or unchangeable. Now I am saying t dot index 5. So it will search the first occurrence of 5. So first occurrence of 5 is present at 1th place. So it will return 1. Okay. Suppose 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5. Or suppose I am giving 2. So it will start searching for 5 from position 2. Occurrence of 5 from position 2, 0, 1, 2. Okay. So from position 2 it will start and it will search for occurrence of 5. So from 2 it is present at 3rd place, right? 5 is from 2 when I start searching. So first occurrence of 5 we get at 3rd place. So it returns 3. Getting? I hope you got it, right? And if it is absent, like if I give any element which is not present only, I'm telling search 15. So 15 is absent, so it will throw an error. See, value error, tuple dot index x naught in tuple. Hope the concept is clear. So searches the tuple for value x, and if that x is present, its first occurrence, wherever it is present, its position is returned. Okay, and if you give start, then the search will start from that start position. So if start is specified, then search starts from that position. Example C, this is our tuple. We are saying t dot index 10. So 10 is present at 0th place only, so it will return 0. If I write t dot index 10 comma 2, so from second position it is searching for 10. So from second onwards 10 is present at 3rd place, so it will return 3. Okay, and if I give such element which is not present only, so it will throw value error. Getting? Value error, telling that that element x is not in tuple. Okay, hope it is clear, right? All of you, so just give me confirmation.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The basic idea. Okay.
Yes.
Aniruddha got disconnected. He had joined. No issues. Now we'll proceed with the third data structure, that is set. Okay, so set, what the specialities and what all facilities it provide, all that we are going to discuss. Now set in Python resembles set in mathematics. Okay, so in mathematics, especially in discrete maths, I'm sure in engineering, even in BSc, you might have studied discrete mathematics. So set in maths is same resembling in Python set. Means whatever Python set we are going to discuss, so this set is representing mathematical set only. So normally in mathematics, what do we say set as? So set is a collection of elements without repetition. So it's a collection of element, but all are distinct, all are unique, right? Same principle Python set also follow. In Python set also all the elements are distinct, all they are unique. It won't give any error if you try to add any repeated element. It won't give error, but it won't get added only. So in your list, in your set, all the elements will be distinct. Okay, it will be unique. So that is the speciality. So you can say set is a collection of objects, or set is a collection of elements, but without repetition. Means all the elements are distinct. Okay, and main speciality of set is it is unordered. Okay, it is unordered. The order of the set means the sequence in which the elements will get added is unpredicted. Like in tuple and list, the sequence in which we have maintained the element, in the same sequence we are able to access them. Isn't it? Means when I am creating a list or I am creating a tuple, see, list I have created. So the sequence in which I have kept element 4, 5, 6. So 0th place 4 is there, 1th place 5, 2th place 6. So at that position you will get that element only. So 0th place, if 4 is there, so when you access it at 0th place, 4 only will be present. But this is not true in case of set. Like in case of set, you have given your order. Like I gave 8, then 10, then 45, then 90. But when you'll go to retrieve it, no guarantee the first element will be 8 only. No guarantee the next element is 10. So their order is unpredicted. Elements are distinct, no doubt. But the sequence in which we give the element, in the same sequence they are retrieved is not necessary. Or the same sequence they are stored is not necessary. That is, the order is unpredicted. That's the reason here we call it as it is a collection of elements without repetition, but the order is unpredicted. But now you may ask like why it happens like that. Okay, so I'll come to it, but I hope the basic definition is clear to you. It is resembling mathematical set, and as it resembles mathematical set, the same operations which you do on mathematical set, same operations Python set also has provided. Getting like union of two set, intersection of two set, subtraction, symmetric difference, like difference A minus B. I'm sure no one can say like they don't know. Okay, I'm sure you all remember the set operations. Like we do union operation, then we do intersection operation. All that operations are supported on Python set as well. We'll be discussing that too in detail. We write A union B, right? Or A intersection B. So all these operations Python set also support. So we'll be learning that too at the end. First we'll just talk about how to create set, and then different operations like in adding and deleting and all. So all that one by one we'll discuss. Then how to create a set. Okay, but only the speciality you should remember that it is unpredicted. The order is unpredicted. Okay, so why it happens like that, I'll come to it. Unpredicted means you got it. The sequence in which I have stored the element, in the same sequence. Okay, the sequence in which I have kept the element, in the same sequence you'll be able to retrieve is not guaranteed. And as it is unordered, we cannot perform square operation, which we do on a list. Getting? I write L of 0, right? So it gives you the element at 0th place. L of 1, 1th place. Such operation you cannot do on a set. Like if I write S of 0, it will give an error. Okay, Python will give error. It will say such subscripting operation. This is subscript. When you write anything in a square, it's called as a subscript. So such subscript operation cannot be done on a set. Why? Because the order is unpredicted. No? You are expecting 0. So your 0 may be 4, but internally it may not be stored at that place. Okay. Now I'll just quickly tell you why it happens like that. Why it is unpredicted. Because in Python, all the elements in the set are maintained in one data structure called hash table. So it maintains one hash table. Okay, that is dynamic. Initially it is created with some fixed size, this table, but runtime it can grow. It's a dynamic hash table, not static hash table. Okay, so one table is there internally called as a hash table, and that table is made up of buckets, and buckets will have slots. Okay, so many times one bucket, one slot is only there. Okay, so these are the bucket numbers, or we can say the slot number, right? So hash table, you can say it's a list, or it is an array of locations where we have to store elements. Okay. Now this hash table internally is maintained by PVM. You don't bother. Now when you create a set, so as I said, when a set is created, automatically this hash table is created. Okay, and when you call your set dot add method, even for delete, okay, even for searching, everywhere this technique is applied. So when you give any element to add of set s dot add k, or directly while creating also in the brace bracket, first element, second element, third element, this is your order. What happens is internally they maintain one mathematical function. The algorithm of that function is abstract to us. We don't know what mathematical calculation it does, but that calculation doesn't take more than constant time. Means that calculation are done in such a way it takes only constant time. It doesn't take any linear, quadratic, cubic time. It is just a constant time. We go of 1. Order 1 time it takes. Now what happens is whenever you call set object dot add and you give your element, so that element internally this add function gives it to one mathematical function called as a hash function, and this mathematical function will do direct key to address mapping. Means it will generate some address for your key. Okay, and that address is called as a bucket number or the slot number. So whatever address is generated, we go directly to that bucket number and there we store key. You understanding? So actually it is a key to address mapping. This is your key and these are the addresses. Okay, you can say in mathematical, ultimately I bring everything in mathematical model because I am a person who comes from, I am more keen towards mathematical subjects. So ultimately everything gets related there, and Python is being inspired only from maths. Okay, so these are all your keys. Okay, whatever keys means the elements which you want to store in your set, k1, k2, k3 dot dot. Okay, and these are the bucket addresses, right? That is address 1, address 2. These are the bucket numbers, you can say, or slot number dot dot dot. And this key to address mapping is done, okay, by your mathematical hash function, which is internally called in your add. So whenever set object dot add and you pass a key, that key is internally given to that hash function, mathematical function, which does some calculation on your key and generates a bucket number, and directly at that bucket the key is stored. So now no guarantee na where it will get mapped. Like suppose your first key may get mapped somewhere in the lower bucket, your fifth key may get mapped to the first bucket. So mapping can be anything. That's what I showed. See, your first key is mapped somewhere, your third key is mapped at the first address. So your third key may get mapped to the 0th bucket number also. So this way the mapping is depending on this hash function. And therefore when you traverse this hash table, the order is not fixed. Okay. अरे दरवाजा बंद कर रहा. Right? So the first key mapped somewhere in the lower bucket, your 10th key is mapped somewhere to the first address, and when you check this hash table, there is no guarantee na? At 0th place there will be first key only. There can be your 10th key also at the 0th place, and that's the reason it is unpredicted. Getting? But then you may say like why they do it? Only for making the retrieval faster. Okay? Because it doesn't have to go and search that whole table no? Or list. It is direct from what to what mapping. Your key to address mapping. So suppose any key is there and you want to search in your hash in your set. So there is no need to go and compare it with everyone. Right? It will take the key, give it to the hash function, generate an address, go to address, and there your key will be sure present because they are key to address mapping technique. Okay? So I hope how the technique is, why it is unpredicted. So mapping is done anyway, and when you go to your try to access your set, which is implemented as a hash table. So when you print this whole set, first element is not your first element here in the first bucket is not the first element which you added. It may be the 10th element which is seen in the first bucket because the mapping took place there. Okay? Now coming to how to create a set. So very simple, you just have to list out all the elements in brace bracket. See, 10 in between Ram, Sita, 30, 40, true, 4.5, any order. Now this is the order which I have maintained. But see, when I have given this order, the 10 will first go to that hash function. Hash function will generate one bucket number for this 10, that is the hash address. And at that place 10 is getting stored. You understanding? So chances are there 10 is getting stored somewhere here. Okay, Ram is getting stored somewhere at the first place only. Sita may get stored somewhere down. So it depends on how the mapping is done. Okay, so that's simple. And if you try to store repeated value also, it won't. Error it won't give, but it will show always unique value. See. Now can you see that the true is seen somewhere first, 4.5 at second place, Ram somewhere here, 10 is some at other some place. Can you see, is the order same? Is the order unpredicted? Yes, clear. And if you check the type of S, it will say that it belongs to class set. Okay, see, class set. Set is also a class, and set also come under iterable category. As it is iterable, set also can be traversed. But when you traverse set, you will not get the element in this order, the order in which you have added. Okay, like when I traverse this set, I'll get first element as true, next as 4.5, next as Sita, next as 40, 10. You got it or no? Clear? So coming to the discussion. Okay. So is the concept, basic idea about set clear?
Yes. I have a question. Like for this set, means the same functionality as we studied before. Like, can we insert the elements
Everything
according to
is
the
there. Oh, no,
position?
no, no, no. Clear? That only provision it doesn't give. It gives provision of adding. You can add element. Okay, like once you create a set, okay, you can add, but there is no append method.
Okay.
Okay, there is
Because
a
it's
add method.
unpredictable means that's why.
So add is there. Now I'm adding Lakshman, but where Lakshman will get added again, that is not predicted.
Okay.
Getting? So this is your set. Now I'm saying s dot add Lakshman. So again Lakshman will go to the hash function, then for that Lakshman key, hash function will generate a bucket number, and at that bucket it is inserted. So that bucket number is not guaranteed where it will be. Getting? See, s dot add when I write, and then I try to print my dictionary, sorry, the set, you can see Lakshman has got added somewhere here. Getting? So adding is there is no mechanism called append. Insert is not there. You cannot insert at your given position. Okay? So extend, insert, append, these methods of list are not applicable for set. But set has given provision called add method. Instead of append, add. So it says you can add element, but I won't give guarantee where it will get added. It totally depends on the hash function. So if I'm writing s dot add Lakshman, so Lakshman will go to the hash function will generate a bucket number, and at that bucket Lakshman will be stored. So that bucket number can be anywhere. Clear?
Okay.
ठीक है. So a set is a collection which is unordered and unindexed. That is the speciality. As it is unordered, we cannot perform square operation on it. Subscript operation. It's called as a subscript. See, s of 0. So why? Because you may expect s of 0 as 10, but actually true is there. Because according to your order, you have given 0th place 10, 1th place Ram, 2th place Sita. But in reality, it is stored at any unpredicted place. So as you don't know only the position where it will be, you cannot access it by giving a position. S of 0 is not going to work. Whereas this completely works for a tuple and a list. But this will never work on set. Okay? It will give an error only. It will say that this subscript operation not supported. See, type that set object is not subscriptable. Subscript means you got writing in square bracket and index and accessing. So set is not subscriptable. Okay? Okay. So a set is collection which is unordered and it is unindexed. And in Python, how do we write a set? By just listing out all the elements in a pair of brace bracket. So just in a pair of brace bracket, you just list out all the values separated by comma. Set gets created. And all the elements in set are unique. Okay. So gods equal to, I'm writing Ram, Krishna and Ganesh. And then I'm writing gods. It will that list is printed. Okay. Sometimes it may display the same sequence. It can be unpredicted also. No guarantee. Okay. Like S equal to, I'm using A, B and C suppose. And print S. Getting? So now you can see A, C, B has happened. And if you check its type, it will say that it's an object of class set. Okay? Got it. Right? Then accessing set item, which is not possible. Which is possible for list and which is possible for tuple also. So on tuple also we could do indexing. On list also we have done indexing, square bracket, and we give the index and we try to access. Such operation is not allowed for set. When you try to do that accessing of element by square bracket and giving an index, it will generate an error. It will say that tuple object doesn't support subscript operation. Subscript means writing in a square position. Okay. So see, since sets are unordered, the items has no index, no guarantee. Means according to you, whoever is at 0th place, not necessary the element will be at the same place in the hash. Okay. Therefore, you cannot access the items using index because it is unordered. The sequence is unpredicted. Okay. Then the same mechanism is there in Java also. If you have done Java, you know it. Like in Java, there is a concept called hash table, and when you try to access values from the hash table, the order is unpredicted. Getting? So you can loop through the set one by one, but the order in which you will get the element, when you put it in a for loop and you try to access one by one elements from the loop, guarantee is not there in which sequence you'll get it. Getting? So standard for loop you can use. See, this is our set for, then a temporary object in set object. Okay? So every time it will retrieve one value from the set object and copy in X. Here also a magic method is called double underscore next double underscore. We don't write because we know it implicitly that magic method is going to get called, and it will keep returning the next value, but it will give you the next item not in the sequence in which you have given. It will give it in the sequence, okay, in which it is getting stored. Okay, like this. You will get true first, then 4.5, then Sita, then 40, then 10. Okay, so here I am writing set object print and X. See, first was true, then that 4.5, then this Sita, then 40, then 10, then Ram, then 30. So any unpredicted way. Unpredicted for us it is a mapping of key to address. And who does mapping of that key to address? These are your keys. Keys means the elements which I stored in the dictionary. 10, 20, Ram, Sita, 4.5, true. These are the keys. That keys are given to the hash function. Hash function generates a bucket number or slot number or hash address. And that address, the key is kept. Getting? So address what is generated for each key is not 1:1. First key, first address, second key, second address. Address can be any. Okay? Got it. See. So you can loop through the set item by using a for loop. Example I have given, colors equal to. Okay? This is our set. As it is put in a brace bracket, it is set. Then I am traversing for X in colors, print X. Now see, in this context, unpredicted way, first green is coming, then blue, then red. So any sequence. Okay? Then checking whether an element is present in the set or not. So this is exactly same like the previous two data structure, that is list and tuple. In operator is there. Using in operator, you can check whether element is present in the set or no. Okay? Element in your set object. So if the element is present in that set object, it will give you true. Otherwise, it will give you false. Okay? So I'll take this set only. If I'm writing Sita in S. Now for searching also internally, when it is searching, it will do this key to address mapping only. It will take Sita. That Sita will be given to that mathematical hash function. It will generate a bucket address, and directly at that address that Sita will be checked. So at that address, if Sita is present, it will return true, otherwise false. Getting? I'm changing the spelling, SITA. So as SITA, this Sita is not present, it will return false. Right? Hope it is clear. Very simple. So to determine if a specified item is present in a set, use the in keyword. Okay? Colors equal to red, blue, green. Then we are checking whether blue is present in colors. So yes, blue is present in color. True will come. Pink in colors. No, pink is absent in this set. It will return false. Okay? You got it. Right? Then coming to changing items of set. So directly again it is not possible. Right? You cannot change items of the set because subscript operation is not allowed. You know it. Like this is the set and I want to change this Sita to SITA. So if I try to do like this, s of 2 equal to sita, assuming at 0th index theta is there, so in place of that theta, this theta is to be replaced. It won't work because you already know which operation is not supported only. Subscript. This operation is 100% valid for list. Again, for tuple it is not valid because tuple is unchangeable. It is immutable. Set is mutable. Set is mutable. Set you can modify, but set is unordered. Clear? Set is not ordered. The order is unpredicted. So the position, no guarantee what is there at that position. So it gives a error. See, type error, set object doesn't support item assignment. Clear? But they have given one add method, and using add method you can add new values. But again, using add method, whatever new values you are adding, we don't know where it will get added. Getting? Means no guarantee about where that new element will get added. Because that new element which you are trying to add, that will also be given to the hash function. Hash function will generate a hash address for it, and directly at that address it will store that new value. Getting? So your sequence is not maintained. Okay? See. So since set is unordered, after the set is created, you cannot change any particular item using set, as like or unlike you can say list. Like in case of list we could do it, it is not possible for set. But you can add new items. But whatever item you are going to add, again the sequence is not maintained. Means it will not add that new items in the same sequence. Okay? It will not add the items in the same sequence in which you have given. Clear? See. So that's what next we are going to see. Add items in set. So to add item, there is one add method given. Not like append. Append method is different and add method is different. Append always adds at the end. And append is applicable for list. Right? And add method is applicable for set. But through add method, whatever item you will add, no guarantee where it will add. It will add according to the mapping of your key to the address, that is hash address. Okay? This is the set. S dot add if I write, and I'm writing Lakshman, right? And if you print and see S, see no guarantee where Lakshman is added. Or again if I'm writing S dot add 50, S dot add Bharat, and print S. See, that 50 got added somewhere here, Bharat got added at second place. So it is totally on the mapping of this key to address, and that address is address within the hash table. Okay? So how the key to address mapping is done, based on that it will be depending. Okay? See, so use add method to add one item in a set. And there is one more called update. Update is very much like extend. Clear? So first about add you got it. Now when you are adding, that element can be itself any iterable object. Like suppose I am adding 10, 20, 30 as a list. Okay? So it will give you error that it is saying this list is not hashable. From this only it is indicating. I hope from this error also it is clear to you that internally all the elements in the set are kept in one hash table. And it says list cannot be hashed. Okay, it's not allowed. But you can add elements of. So if you're trying to add a tuple also, s dot add, and you're adding a tuple, which is possible in case of list. In case of list, you can add one list in another list. You can add one tuple in another list. Getting? See. So here for tuple it doesn't give error, but for list it gives error. Tuple got added. But again, this whole tuple, where it is added in your S, is unpredicted. See. See. This tuple got added at the third. Here you are able to see it. Right? So I hope it is clear. Now, if suppose you want to add elements of one iterable in your set, that too you can do by using update. Like here, suppose I am giving one set with value 7, 8 and 9. This is whole set. So it will not add that set in S. It will add the elements of that set in S, which is exact like in case of list. In case of list, there was one extend method. Remember? When we took three methods, one was append, right? Another was insert, and third was extend. So L dot extend, and there also we were giving some list or tuple. So all the elements were getting added, 4, 5, 6 in L. Here also same thing. Now in that S, what will get added inside S? 7 will get added, 8 will get added, 9 will get added. Not this whole set. It will not add this whole set. Instead it will add that 7, that 8 and that 9. But that 7, 8, 9 when it gets added in S, again which sequence? Don't know. It is unpredicted. See. Print S. Now you'll see this 7, 8, 9 at any position in S. See, 9 is somewhere here, 8 is somewhere here, 7 is somewhere here. Clear? I hope you got it. So append and add, only the difference is append adds one element in the set. Append adds elements of one set in this set. Okay? Update method, not append, add method and update method. Sorry for that. So update method will add more than one item in a set. So to update always you have to pass a iterable. To add you can pass any object, but to update you always have to pass a iterable object. So elements of that iterable object are added in your set. Getting? Like s dot update, and suppose if I write a list 100 and 200. Getting? So elements of this list are added in this set. So 100 and 200, this whole list is not added. The elements of that list are added. So first it will add 100, then it will add 200. Getting? So 100 is added, 200 is added, but where that 100, 200 is added is again unpredicted. See, 100 got added somewhere here, 200 got added somewhere here. Okay, so hope you are clear with the add method and the update method. There is a difference. See, this is your list. You're printing this list. Okay, sometimes the order may be same. Now you're adding 40 in it. Where it will get added, no guarantee. When you print and see, you can see 40 is at the beginning. Now you have one more set and you're passing that set to update, colors dot update colors 1. So all the elements of colors 1, that is 50, 60, 70, will get added in colors. Right? So elements of colors 1 will get added in colors. So 50, 60, 70, these three elements will get added in colors. And when you print and see that 50, 60, 70 has got added, but not predicted. It is unpredicted in any order. 50 has come first place, somewhere 70, then 60. Okay. So hope the concept is clear. Right, all of you?
Yes.
Sure, no? The basic difference you should be able to clear.
Yes, sir.
Then coming to the next thing, that is finding the length of set, which is nothing different. It is exactly same like set and tuple. LEN built-in function. So it will return you the number of elements in your set. Print LENS. Okay. Now it won't take this as a 3 element, a 10, 20. It is as one element because it is one tuple added. So see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Therefore the count returned is 16. Okay, that's simple. So to determine how many items a set has, use LEN, built-in function. We call built-in function, why? Because one thing, it is a built-in function. Okay, it's not a method. Means to invoke it, we don't need to have an object associated with it and a dot operator. Object dot length, nothing like that. Directly you can call. Therefore it is a function, and built-in means they don't belong to any like in any package or in any module, and you don't have to import that module to use it. Directly it is available for using. Okay? See, colors equal to red, blue, green, and we are writing print length of colors. As there are 3 elements in that, it will display 3. Okay, now coming to removing item from set. Okay, now to remove any item from the set, pop method is applicable. Pop method is there, but to that pop, index provision is not there. Getting? Which was possible for list. In case of list, I hope you remember pop method, list 10, 20, 30. So there when I write L dot pop, so when I don't give anything, by default the last one. Okay, pop, and when I don't give any index, by default the last one is deleted, and then it returns that element, right? And if you want, now if you print and see, 30 is gone. And on the index base also, the pop, and you can give index also to it, like 0. So whoever is at 0th place, that will get deleted. Okay, and it prints 20. Right? Okay, I hope it is clear. But this way, pop method is applicable on set. Pop method works on set, but you cannot give index to it. Right? Because again the same reason, because it is unordered. But if you give just pop and bracket, it will delete the last item. Whatever the last item is there, that will get deleted. See, pop is there. I guess we have to discuss it on the next slide. So I discussed that pop on the next slide. So anyways, we'll go to pop first and then come back. Okay, or I'll explain this first then. Okay? Actually, I explained about this pop first, which is on the next slide. But anyway, you got to know. Meantime, there are other methods also. That too we will discuss. We'll create another set only. Okay, no guarantee the sequence. Now there is one method called remove, and you can give the element which you want to remove. Okay, so remove method is there for set, exactly same like list. For list there was a remove method. For set also there is a remove method. So s dot remove and give the element which you want to remove. Okay, and if you print and see the set, in that 20 won't be there. Okay, now s dot remove, and you try to remove some element which is not present, like 50. So it will give an error that 50 is not present. Getting? See, key error, 50 key error means 50 is not present in your set. Okay, and these are all keys now which go to the hash function. So 40, 10, 30, in that 50 is absent. Now there is one more similar method called discard. Okay, only the difference between remove and discard is that discard doesn't give an error if it is absent. Clear? See, like discard and I'm deleting 10. Works fine. Same like remove. Okay? You can print and see S. But now if I write S dot discard and 50, so is 50 present in it? No. And as 50 is not present in the set, it won't generate error. It will just come to the prompt. Whereas remove generates a error, key error. That is only the difference between discard and remove. Otherwise, functionally they are same. See, 50 was absent, so it didn't generate error. It has just come to the prompt. It just moves to the next step. Okay. So first we'll talk about remove and discard, and then we'll come to pop also. Okay. So to remove, 1 minute. हेलो, हाँ बोलिए ना. ओके, हाँ चलेगा ना. फिर उसके बाद मैं उसको बंद करने के लिए बोलता हूँ वॉचमैन को. ओके, हाँ ओके. बट आपको कुछ हेल्प चाहिए रहेगा तो प्लीज़ बोलो. हाँ मुझे लाइक ओके, हाँ हाँ. बट प्लीज़ ऐसे खुद ही आप कुछ करो. मतलब अगर मुझे कोई हेल्प चाहिए रहेगा तो प्लीज़ बोलो. ठीक है? ओके चलेगा, मैं बोलता हूँ. किसन, हां ते 602 मध्ये जे पेशंट आहेत ना, 602 मध्ये पेशंट आहेत. ते नवीन पेशंट आहेत, कालच आलेले. हां सांगितलं ना. तर ते आता त्यांना हॉस्पिटलला जायचंय. आत्ता 5 मिनिटात, 5-10 मिनिटात ते. तर ती छोटी लिफ्ट आहे ना, हां ती वापरतील. ठीक आहे. मग ती त्यांनी वापरून झाल्यावर मग आपली प्रोसिजर माहिती आहे ना तुम्हाला. थोड्या वेळ ती बंद ठेवतो आपण. हां फक्त ते बघून घ्या. हां हां बरं ठीक आहे, चालेल. हां हां चालेल सर. हां चालेल. आता तिला किसनचा नंबर पाठवायला पाहिजे. तिला ती आता हॉस्पिटललाच आहे, ती लिफ्ट वापरणार आहे. तर निघायच्या आधी त्या किसनला याला कॉल करून सांगा, म्हणजे तो खाली कोणाला अलाव नाही करणार.
आता काय करू मी?
हा किसनचा नंबर तिला द्यायला पाहिजे. तर माझा क्लास चालू आहे.
मेसेज आहे का तिचा नंबर?
तिचा आत्ता आला होता एक शिकला म्हणून, पहिलाच त्या किसनच्या खाली आलाय ना.
तो म्हणता आजीचा हां
आलाय ना शीचा आहे. Okay, let's continue. Very sorry for interrupt. Okay, so continuing. So I hope the remove and discard difference is clear. Remove will remove the element, discard will also remove. Only the thing is, if the element is absent, okay, so remove will give an error, whereas discard doesn't give error. Only that is the difference. So note, if element is absent, remove generates a key error, whereas discard doesn't generate any error. Okay? Quick example I'm taking. This is your set. When you print it, again unpredicted order, you know it. A dot remove 20 will get removed. When you print and see, okay, right, when print and see 20 is absent. Now when you try to remove 100, as it is not present, here it will generate a key error. Okay, now discard 10. 10 is present, it will get deleted. Print and see. But when you discard 100, no error. Though it is absent, it will not give any error. Clear? So difference between remove and discard, I hope you guys are clear with it.
Yes.
Sure? Okay. Then the pop method. Okay, pop method, exact same like pop in case of list, right? In case of list we have pop method, same way it is present, but only in that case we were allowed to give index, and whatever index you give, it used to delete the element from that index. Here we don't have provision of giving index. Okay, so method can be used to remove an item, but this method will remove the last item, means whichever item is according to the order. Okay, not our order, their unpredicted order, right? And here there is no provision of giving index, which is possible in case of list. See, so this is our set. Right, and s dot pop, or you can print and see. This is the sequence, and when I'll write s dot pop, okay, so it will pop 40. S dot pop, it will pop 10 now. Getting? So that sequence, this way it goes on deleting. Normally it deletes from the last, but that is the same order, no? The order in which we have added, the same order it is maintained in the list. So in that case, when I say s dot pop, it keeps removing from the last. Here it removes the sequence in which it is being added. Means not our order, their unpredicted order. So their order 40, then 10, then 80, then 50. See, when I'll pop again, next it will pop 80. S dot pop. Okay, next it will pop 50. Okay, you got it. And no provision of index, because see, when you'll say s dot pop, here there is no provision only of giving index, but for a list there is s dot pop. See, is there an index provision? Index equal to -1, you can see, which is default. Okay, so you cannot give index in this case. See, as set are unordered, so item which is removed by the pop method is unpredicted. Getting? Means in which sequence it will get removed, that doesn't depend on our order. It is the sequence in which it is got stored, right? And this pop method will always return you the item which is being deleted, returned by pop. See, this is your set. This is the original, this is the order in which we are getting it, unpredicted order. Now a dot pop, so it will pop 40 and return also. And when I say print a, it will print 10, 20, 30. Okay, I hope you got it, right? Then like list clear method is applicable for set also. If you want to make your set empty set. Okay, see, s dot clear, and now if you print and see s, it is empty set. Empty set is represented this way. Now you may imagine like that ki empty set it should represent like this, open brace, close brace. because empty list it represents like this, empty tuple it represent like this. So why not for set? So it is only one reason. Dictionaries are also represented by brace bracket. Like set you represent by brace bracket, so dictionary is also by brace bracket. So in case of empty dictionary it displays this, but for empty set it takes set bracket only. Okay? Okay, so clear method, I hope it removes all the element, you got it. This is your set, print a dot clear, right? And then print a. Okay, print a, it will display your set, a dot clear when I write, and then print a, so it gives you empty set. Okay, and if you want to delete the entire set, you can use del, but particular element at given position you cannot. Like for list it was possible, not del L of index, we could do it. I hope you remember, if you recall, in the case of list it was possible, del list object square bracket index. Such thing is not possible, but entire set you can destroy by writing del set object. See here, if I write del s, and now if I try to check what s is, it will give a name error. Why name error? Because the object s from symbol table is gone, it is completely unbound. Okay, so name error, name s is not defined. See, a is a set, we are printing set del a, then I am printing, it will give a name error, name a is not defined. Okay, hope it is clear, right, all of you?
Yes.
Okay, now coming to the next thing, that already which I told when I started with that set topic. Okay, set resembles mathematical set only. So Python set is a software implementation of mathematics set. So as in mathematics we have set as a collection of distinct objects, the same set of maths is represented in Python set. So in mathematical set, when we are allowed to do operations on two or more set, same thing Python set also provides. So basic operation is like union, is it? So here also we can perform union of two or more. So minimum two, and then beyond that any. So A union and B. Okay, so for that there is a union method, or they have implemented one, they have overloaded one bitwise operator or. Okay, so if you write S1 or S2, then also it will do, or you can write S1 dot union method. Union is a keyword in C, but not here. Okay, so S2 is passed as a parameter and S1 is the invoker. So S1 dot union S2. Clear? S1 dot union S2. So it will create a new set in which elements of S1 as well as elements of S2 are present, and then that new set is returned. Here also same thing, S1 or S2. Why? Because here implicitly it is going to call a dunder method, a magic method like this, S1 dot double underscore or double underscore, and that S2 is passed as a parameter. Getting? So you can do it by this way. If you are using this operator, so it gives expression style, but internally it is sure going to call this magic method. S1 will call this magic method and S2 is passed as a parameter. Okay, and union method is also there, it does it. And if you want to do more than one, so you can comma pass S3 S4 going on. And what does it return? Just now I told, it returns all the elements of first set as well as second. Like A union B is set of all element X, where X belongs to A or X belongs to B, or both also. means it can be present in both, either it is in A or B or both. Total, it takes the combine, and those which are repeated, that they are discarded. Like there can be an element in A also or B also, so twice it won't take. Getting? Like here if it is 10 20 and here we have 20 30, so when it will combine it, 20 won't be taken twice because it's a set. So 10 20 30 you will get. Okay, so like union, there is intersection, there is difference, there is symmetric difference. All we'll see one by one. See, so here union method is there, one set object is there as a invoker. This is implicit, this is one set object dot union, and then you can pass one or more set, and union can be done by this overloaded or sign. This or sign also does the work of that one. So implicitly it's going to call one dunder method, which I showed you. Okay, see, and what this union method will do, so it will return a set in which all the elements from the original set and the items from the set which are passed as a parameter, all are returned as a new set, and duplicate elements deleted. Okay? Never it will keep repeated values, all the elements are deleted. So it will return what? A new set containing elements of your invoker set and the elements of the set which are passed as parameter, set 1, set 2 going on. So their elements plus this element, all things are returned in that new set. Getting? No? Clear? And the same thing you can do it by this overloaded operator. The union operation can also be performed using overloaded OR. Right? So quickly one simple example I'll show you. I'll take S1 10 20 30, suppose I'm taking. S2 I'm taking 20 30 and 40, and S3 equal to S1 or S2. This way also you can do, or S1 dot union S2, one and the same thing. See, if you print and see all the set, so first set, second set, third set. Now in that third set, total of this both, but when we take total of this both, in that 20 and 30, 20 30 is not coming twice, it's coming only once. Okay, and the same activity you can do by OR operator also, S1 or S2. Okay, print and see the result, the same thing. OR means internally what has happened when we say S1 OR sign S2, bitwise operator. So internally it has called one bitwise OR operation and then S2, which does the same thing. See, and if you print and see again S1, S2, S3, you will get the similar result. So this is actually that magic method or dunder method which is getting called here. For us, we have got a ease of using OR. Getting, no? We have got a ease of using this OR sign, but internally it will call this dunder method. Or you can use standard union method also. Okay. See. So A equal to 10, 20, 30, B is 20, 30, 40. When I say C equal to A union B and print C, it shows the total of both. And C equal to A or B, it shows total of both. Okay. Now same way like union, there is intersection. Now intersection sign is this thing, but in intersection you will get only those elements which are present in both. So X belongs to A and X, this concept is not there. X belongs to A and X belongs to B. Means only those elements which are present in both A as well as B. And for this, if you do it by operator, they have given and by method, they have given a method with the name intersection. Okay? So either use method intersection or you can use method and here also a magic method is called internally double underscore and double underscore, which does the same thing. Clear? Got it. So quickly I'll just tell you this intersection. So set dot intersection set1 set2 dot dot, or set ampersand set1 ampersand set2 going on. So it will return your new set containing all the elements of set and those elements which are present in set1 set2 set3 as well. So elements of set but which are present in these sets also. Okay, so the intersection method returns a set that contains similar elements between two or more set. Okay, so intersection method will return a set containing elements which are present in all the set, that is this set and plus the set which are passed as parameter. So the return set contains items that exist in all the set, and the same operation you can do by the overloaded operator and, okay, is also legal. Quickly here I'll tell you, like in place of union I'll take set same S1 S2. Okay, see S3 equal to S1 dot intersection S2, and if you print and see, it will give you only the common value. So common values are 20 and 30 in both the set. See, this also contain 20 30, this contain 20 30. So only those elements are present in your third set. The first set, the second set and the third contains only the common values between both 20 30 20 30. Clear? You can even write S1 and S2, print and see the same result. Okay, see quickly I'll take an example. A dot intersection B. So it will return your new set containing the elements which are present in A as well as in B. So as well as in B, A as well as, so there are only two values 20 and 30 which is in A and B. So that you get, and you can do it by overloaded AND operator also. Get it? And when we are using this overloaded AND, here also the magic method is called A dot double underscore and double underscore B.